An entertaining race, there's no doubt about that, because look at the weather conditions. It's been absolutely horrible so far today in Silverstone. The track temperature 14.1 degrees, air temperature not too bad, 12.5 degrees, but it's been the very, very heavy rain that has been the thing that we have enjoyed the least this morning. And there you can see plenty of standing water around in the sort of spectator areas around here at Silverstone. And there is also an awful lot of standing water at certain points of the circuit. There's the beautiful Silverstone wing, looking over the far section of the circuit on the run down towards Abbey Curve. We're using the full Grand Prix circuit this weekend, but it will be starting up at the old start-finish straight, as it were. And there you can see some of the water just in the runoff areas. That looks like the exit of Club, somewhere like that. And it really is treacherous conditions out there. We've already had to have a few sessions cancelled this morning because of the weather conditions and a few accidents that it has caused. There's the run down the hangar straight towards Stowe Corner. So you can see it's going to be a real challenge for the drivers this morning, especially in their high-powered single-seater Formula 3 machines. And there possibly are the bravest men of the weekend. The marshals who are out there standing in the freezing cold and rain, making sure all the action could go ahead, and also our cameramen as well. They're probably not having the greatest time out there. My name is Jack Nichols. I'm here in the commentary box talking you through the action, which should be getting underway in about 10 minutes or so. But you can see the difficult conditions are going to make it very entertaining, even though the qualifying session yesterday was in the wet, and it was Martin Chow from Fortec Motorsport who took pole position. Alongside him on the front row of the grid will be Igor Uryev for Carlin. We've also got Marvin Koshoffer out for Fortec Motorsport, who's a very exciting young prospect. We'll talk more about the drivers in a few moments' time. This race acting on the same bill as the Blancpain Endurance Series event, and there you can see the hugely impressive paddock and then the hospitality buildings nearest towards us on the entry to the pit lane, and the Silverstone control tower there on the left-hand side before heading down the start-finish straight and into the first corner. The Formula 3 race will be started behind the safety car because of these difficult conditions. And there's some hardy fans who've come out to watch the action. They're checking their watch. When's this race going to get underway? Well, about 5 minutes' time before we get the race started. The season started at Rockingham, and it is Martin Chow, the man on pole position, who is leading the Drivers' Championship. We picked up 3 second places at Rockingham. Sam McLeod won the first and second races before retiring in the third, and unfortunately he's not here this weekend, so he won't be out to repeat his double winning performance at Rockingham. Andy Chang is third in the championship at the moment, having picked up 2 third places. Unfortunately, we haven't got Alice Powell here this weekend either, and we've got 2 new additions to the series, Igor Uryev, who I've already mentioned, and Martin Koshoffer. They are running for Carlin and Fortec respectively, and they're 2 exciting young drivers, it has to be said, as we wait to see how they will perform in their first British Formula 3 race. As I said, qualifying took place yesterday in damp conditions, and Martin Chow did a 2-minute 16.921 second lap, which put him on pole position, 7/10 of a second clear of Uryev in second place. It was then another 8/10 of a second back to Koshoffer, Andy Chang and Matt Rao completing the top 5 positions, and then Li Shikong and Cameron Kaminsky will start in 6th and 7th spots. So the cars will be heading out onto the grid in a few moments' time. Let's have a look at the starting grid then. As we said, there is Martin Chow on pole position, Uryev alongside him. Then we've got Koshoffer and Chang. Third row of the grid will be Matt Rao and Li Shikong. And then Kaminsky starting in 7th position. So as I say, the race will be started under safety car conditions because of the very challenging conditions we've got out here at Silverstone at the moment. Hopefully by the time the next race comes along, which will be this afternoon, the weather might have cleared up a little bit and the track might have dried up a little bit, because we've had such little running here this morning as well. That's been part of the problem, because it was raining so heavily that in the Blancpain Endurance Series free practice session, no one wanted to go out on circuit because there was so much rain coming down, so much water coming onto the circuit. that it was decided that it wasn't really worth going out and getting some running, because in theory, tomorrow is going to be dry. There you can see the safety car, the Lamborghini safety car, which will lead the field around once they make their way onto the grid. You can see some of the Carlin team members heading out there now to have a watch over their man Igor Uryev, who will start in second place. The other Carlin entrant, Li Jikong. 2 cars from Carlin, 3 from Fortec and 2 from RR. So a reduced Formula 3 grid compared to those that we have seen in the past, but still being run by 3 of the biggest names in Formula 3. Carlin in particular have been very successful over the past years. It's not since 2007 has a non-Carlin driver not won the championship. That was Marco Asma for High-Tech Racing, but since then, Jaime Alguersuari, Daniel Ricciardo, Jean-Eric Vergne, Felipe Nasser, Jack Harvey and Jordan King have all won in a row for Carlin. And so they will be looking to continue with that strong form in British Formula 3 that has made them the main powerhouse, really, in British Formula 3. There's the BRDC clubhouse, the BRDC owning the Silverstone circuit, and that is looking out over the final corner. And there are 10 current Formula 1 drivers that came through the British Formula 3 series, which is impressive. And in fact, a lot of those names that I read out previously, the likes of Alguersuari, Ricciardo, Vergne, have all moved on to Formula 1 in recent years. Felipe Nasser is currently the Williams Formula 1 reserve driver. Jack Harvey's made a switch to the States, and Jordan King is now racing in the European Formula 3 Championship. But there then is the familiar white and red of Fortec Motorsport. Martin Chow will be starting on pole position, but the race will be started behind the safety car. He missed free practice 1 yesterday because he was taking an exam at Kiel University, so that was interesting to hear. That's why Chow was missing from the first free practice session. But he got back out for free practice 2. Only completed a couple of laps and ended up 5th quickest. But it was reasonably dry for free practice 2 yesterday, certainly not as wet as it was ultimately for qualifying. As we see the cars now starting to line up on their grid slot, and the race will begin essentially when the car pulls away. And you can see Martin Chow on pole position for Fortec Motorsports. The 21-year-old has competed at Silverstone before. He was in Formula Renault Bark last year, where he finished 4th with Fortec, finished 3rd here at Silverstone. He had a win at Rockingham as well. So plenty of experience around the UK circuits. He moved over here at the start of 2012 after competing mainly in China and Asia. 2008, he won the Ford Formula Campus Championship in China. 5 wins from 8 races, beating Gao Jiangfang to the title. And he was also 3rd in Asian Formula Renault that year. And there is the 2nd placed man on the grid, Igor Uryev, the 18-year-old Russian. He's already competed this season in the Formula Renault Euro Cup, where he finished 2nd in the opening race at Aragon. He was 6th in the Toyota Racing Series down in New Zealand, picked up 3 wins, 2 at Terra Tonga and 1 at Highlands. So he's a very quick young prospect. The 18-year-old from St. Petersburg, 7th in Formula Renault Euro Cup last year. And he had a 10th place finish in French Formula 4 in 2012, picking up 2nd and 3rd places at the final rounds of the season at Le Mans. But there's a man everyone's reasonably excited about, Marvin Koschoffer, the German from Leipzig. He's had 2 5th places in GP3 with the ART squad. You can see ART still branded on his helmet there. And he finished 5th in both of the first 2 races of the season in Barcelona. And he is the reigning German Formula 3 champion. Took 12 wins and 24 podiums from the 25 German F3 races. So a really impressive young man. He was the ADAC former Masters champion as well. So champion in everything he's raced in over the past couple of years. It'll be difficult for him to pull it off here in British F3 and in GP3 as well. Then 4th on the grid for RR, we have Andy Chang, the Macanese driver, 17 years old. He raced in Formula Ford for 6 races last season. His best results of the season came here at Silverstone, where he picked up a 5th place. He also had a few races in the Formula Masters China Series, so he hasn't got a great deal of experience, but he's looking very quick, and a 4th place on the grid is a good attempt. And there we can see, I think that's the course car making its way around to check the conditions out there on the circuit, and obviously the conditions in a Lamborghini, looks like an Aventador, are going to be very, very different to those in a single-seater Formula 3 car. Li Shikong, 20-year-old Chinese driver, originally from Hong Kong. He will be starting down in 5th position on the grid. He's already had some racing experience this season. He raced in Zhuhai in the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia event. Unfortunately, he didn't finish that race. And there we've got Matt Rao, the only British driver in the field. The 20-year-old. He also raced in the Toyota Racing Series, had a best finish of 5th place at Hampton Downs. And there's Cameron Kaminsky. He'll be starting down in 7th position after a troubled qualifying session. But he's a reasonably exciting young prospect. He was 8th in his British Formula Ford rookie season last year, picked up a win here at Silverstone. Before that, he finished in 2nd in Pacific Formula F2000 over in the States. Also did 2 rounds of the MRF Challenge in Bahrain, where he picked up a 6th place finish. So plenty of quality in the field. It's going to be very entertaining to see how these cars race in these damp conditions. It's going to be very tricky for the drivers as well. As the cars are about to head off behind the safety car. And I think the clock will start immediately as the safety car pulls away. That's usually what will happen. There then, in 2nd place, Igor Uryev, the Russian. What can he do to try and stop Martin Chow up at the front? As far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned, it is Martin Chow who leads on 45 points. Sam McLeod is 2nd in the championship, but isn't here this weekend. So Andy Chang is the man. Well, Andy Chang and Matt Rowe are both on 35 and 33 points respectively. So they're only 10 points off Martin Chow in the lead. So this is going to be very interesting as the cars pull away. The clock has started. And the 30 minutes of racing has begun. Hopefully we won't have too many laps behind the safety car. And there is Li Shikong, who had a 7th and a 5th place finish in Rockingham in the opening race of the season. As they make their way down towards Beckett's and Magus, but you can see the spray that's being kicked up just on these, well, very, very slow procession behind the safety car. You can see the visibility is not going to be easy for these guys, apart from perhaps Martin Chow up at the front. They're weaving around to try and get some heat into the tyres, but exactly how effective that'll be in these sorts of conditions, I'm not really sure. There in 3rd place is Marvin Kachoffer. As they come out onto the hangar straight, this is where you'll start to see the spray really kicking up. And you can see the lines of standing water across the circuit as they come through them there. And as you've seen, the race has started behind the safety car. As I say, hopefully we won't be left waiting too long before the race gets underway properly, because we've got a very interesting field of drivers, with some strong drivers looking to make some moves further up the order. It's taken them a minute and a half to get through that first sector alone, whereas we'd normally be looking at sort of a minute 50 to do the whole lap. Here's a look at the starting grid then. On pole position will be Martin Chow. Alongside him is Uryev. The 2nd row of the grid, we'll see Kachoffer and Andy Chang. Of course, they won't be starting in grid order like this. Then we have Li Shikong and Matt Rao and Cameron Kaminsky starting at the back. 20-year-old American who was born in Ohio. He lives in Scottsdale, Arizona, but then lives in Cambridge whilst he's competing over here. So a well-travelled young man. And the 20-year-old will be hoping to make up some positions because he's down in 7th place and last on the grid. He had a brace of 4th place finishes at Rockingham and a 5th place as well to boot in the 3 races there. So he's certainly got the pace to be higher than 7th. But it's whether he will be able to make up positions as the race progresses. So Uryev and Kuchova making their British F3 debuts this weekend. Everyone else in the field competed in the 3 races at Rockingham. Only one race winner from Rockingham here, and that is Matt Rao. He won the 3rd race of the weekend. He starts here in 6th spot, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to repeat that. As I say, Sam McLeod not here this weekend, nor is Alice Powell, and they are replaced by Igor Uryev and Marvin Kuchova. So down into the left-hander of Brooklands they come. And it looks as though the safety car lights are still on, so they'll be going around for a couple more laps. Not a great pace really there. They're going at it. It's that sort of that difficult balance of going fast enough to clear some water, but without going too fast that all the cars are going to come off the circuit. Lap 1 completed here, behind the safety car. And the light's still on the Lamborghini machine. The 2 main protagonists of British F3 history currently racing in Formula 1, I suppose, are Daniel Ricciardo and Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen raced British F3, battling hard for the championship a few years ago with Felipe Nasr. Magnussen now racing with the McLaren Mercedes Formula 1 team. Ricciardo with Red Bull Racing. So great to have those two having passed through British Formula 3. But the list goes on and on, really, of British Formula 3 champions who have moved on. I could probably fill a lap of safety car by listing them all out. It's that impressive. And it was 31 years ago that Ayrton Senna took his first Formula 3 victory here, before a lot of these guys were even born. In fact, Matt Rao was born on the 3rd of May, 1994. So just a couple of days after that terrible weekend in Imola. Light's still on the safety car here in the 4th race of the 2014 Cooper Tyres British F3 season. The weather has been absolutely miserable this morning. We went out to Stoke Corner to watch some of the cars going around, but none of them decided they wanted to go out because it was so wet. Andy Chang has had 2 podiums so far this season as well, so we've only got 2 podium finishes in the field, so we're going to see a first, that's for sure. There are the standings for what they're worth, and that is effectively the grid order behind the safety car. And it looks as though the lights are still on as the clock continues to tick down. Yes, the lights are just about on the corners of the Lamborghini machine. Hongwei Chow, or Martin Chow, is the man at the front of the field. As I said, he has history here at Silverstone, having raced in the BARC Formula Renault Championship for the past couple of seasons. Had a 3rd place finish here last year and a win at Rockingham, so he's looking like he's starting to get to grips with these Formula 3 cars, and 3 2nd place finishes at Rockingham further emphasises that. light's still on the safety car, so we'll be getting another lap at least of this. The first free practice session was in much drier conditions, and Uryev in the dry conditions outpaced Marvin Kochofa by just 0.117 seconds. So those two certainly you would have had down as the class of the field, but it was a very impressive performance from Martin Chow to take pole position in the wet qualifying session yesterday, well, evening pretty much it was here at Silverstone, as they come across the line to complete the second lap. 22 minutes left on the clock, so even if the safety car comes in this time around, we're only going to get 18 minutes or so of racing, because it's taking them pretty much 4 minutes to complete a lap. Igor Uryev starting in second place, as we saw, the man from St. Petersburg. Safety car board's still out, but Uryev will be one to watch both here and in the future in general, because he had a second place finish in the opening Formula Renault Euro Cup race at Aragon. And look at that, the safety car will be in this lap. So then we will get some racing underway. Still a good 3 minutes before that happens, by the time they come back around to the start-finish straight. And there's Cameron Kaminsky at the back, but now the pace will start to quicken. Now the drivers will really start to try and get some heat into their tyres, but you can still see those ribbons of standing water across the circuit. How keen will Uryev be to try and take the lead all the way from Chow? Or will he be happy to just sit in behind for the opening couple of laps and let Chow be the man who's going through the standing water first, who's going into the corners first at full racing speed? Three teams in the top four, a Fortec, a Carlin, a Fortec and a Double R. So still as competitive as ever as far as the team's element of British Formula 3 is concerned. As the cars round Club Corner, the now double apex right-hander, and head out in front of the wing. So by the time they get across the line, we should have about 18 minutes of action to come. Lights are still on the safety car, but I'm sure they'll turn off in a few moments' time. And getting the safety car, look at that visibility out there. That's going to be really challenging for the drivers. It's been challenging enough whilst they're just pootling around trying to get some heat into their tyres, but when the actual racing gets underway, it's going to be very interesting. But it'll be that man in the white, red and black, number 57 Fortec Motorsport machine, Martin Chow, who will be the man to lead the field away. Marvin Kochofa, 20-year-old German there in number 3, is going to be a man to watch. Very impressive young driver. And also coming from the back, Cameron Kaminsky. What can he do after some solid results in the opening rounds at Rockingham? Can he fight his way through? So we're going to find out soon enough. I tell you, Igor Uryev is right up the back of Martin Chow. He hasn't let him get out of his sight. Look at that. That is almost uncomfortably close as they come down into Brooklands. Trying to get some heat in, trying to find out where the grip is on the circuit as well. That's part of the reason for the weaving around. So Martin Chow comes through the final corner at Luffield. The safety car will pull into the pits, and the racing will be underway. The 4th race of the season in the Cooper Tyres British Formula 3 Championship goes green across the line. 18.5 minutes left on the clock as they come into Cobb's Corner for the first time at racing speed. There's half a second between Chow and Uryev. Third place still looks like it's Marvin Kochofa, but he didn't have the best of getaways and is a long way back, and no one's taking to the circuit there. Well, it looks as though Uryev does manage to, but Martin Chow goes straight on at Beckett's. And he's struggling already in these early stages. What's Uryev going to do then? Look at them twitching around on the hangar straight as they come down towards Stoke Corner. Uryev in the blue Carlin car, tucked right underneath the rear wing, looks to the inside, but Martin Chow has it covered. Look at them, just getting on the brakes through the standing water. The back end's going all over the place. And Uryev is right up with Chow. But Chow took pole position in the wet conditions, so he's going to be stronger. Uryev looks to the inside on the run down into the left-hander of Vale and moves into the lead of the race. So Igor Uryev takes the lead away from Martin Chow, but he can't get the power down. He slides all over the place coming through club. Chow's understeering like anything as he tries to get the exit onto the straight down towards the right-hander at Abbey. But now Igor Uryev has got himself into the lead of the race. Will he be able to just manage it from now on, or will that move the advantage to Chow? Because now he's the man chasing. He can judge his braking zones from the driver in front. There's Kachoffer then in third place. It's still fourth place for Andy Chang. So we've got two pairs in the top four positions. And Andy Chang is actually right up behind as they come through the left-hander of Aintree out onto the Wellington Straight. Chang is tucked right up underneath the rear wing. Will we see him pull out on the way down into Brooklands for the first time at full racing speed? Kachoffer thinks we might, so he covers the inside line. Chang tries to find the grip around the outside of Brooklands. That's impressive stuff from Chang, but he won't be able to get all the way around the outside. But they're both starting to close in on Martin Chow in front of them, so we're going to have a three-car battle for second place before too long. Across the line comes Igor Uryev, leading the way by 5.3 seconds at the end of the first lap of racing. Martin Chow in second, it's third for Marvin Kachoffer, fourth place for Andy Chang. Matt Rao's made up his way into fifth position, so sixth place is now Li Shikong, and Cameron Kaminsky still down in seventh position, so the American hasn't made any progress on that opening lap. This is the battle for second, third and fourth though. You can see the cars going much, much wider. Well, some of them anyway, as they tried to find the extra grip out there, and look at that, just on the exit of Chapel, as they come out onto the hangar straight, there's a huge puddle of standing water that's making the back ends of the cars go all over the place. Whoa, big moment for Kachoffer. He keeps it all together. These are treacherous conditions. Reminds me of the M1 this morning, as they come down now into Vale, but you can see Igor Uryev is absolutely bombing clear. He was half a second quicker, than 7/10 of a second quicker than anyone else in the opening sector. So Uryev really performing strongly. Andy Chang has just dropped off the back of Kachoffer a little bit on this second lap at full racing speed, and equally Martin Chow has seemingly got a little more relaxed and pulled ahead of these two a bit. He's just a little further up the road now. There he is. The pole man now running in second place. Fortek in second and third. It's Carlin out in the lead with Igor Uryev. You can see he's already come through that second sector split before anyone else gets near. Although Chow now is coming back into it. He was 3/10 of... Oh, there's the replay of Kachoffer's moment. And, well, that shows you just the difficulty that these guys are facing in these conditions. In that middle sector, Chow took 3/10 of a second. Oh, and look at this. This is a challenge from Chang. Now he's looking towards the inside line to get past Kachoffer as they come now into Luffield. Both Kachoffer and Chang just trying to find out the best lines, where the grip is in these conditions. But as soon as Chang gets near the back of Kachoffer, he starts to lose the speed because he hasn't got the visibility. So the gap at the end of the fifth lap is 5.6 seconds. Kaminsky has now got up into sixth place, so he has got past Li Shikong out there as they come into Beckett's and Maggots. That's third place, Marvin Kachoffer, with Andy Chang following him reasonably tightly. He was half a second behind as they crossed the line. 13 minutes to go. There we see Cameron Kaminsky then up into that sixth place, with Li Shikong down into seventh position. And the in these wet conditions, the gaps are really ebbing and flowing, aren't they? And again, a big moment. That time for Kaminski as he gets under braking, coming down into Stowe corner. All the cars sticking to the inside line until, well, until they're into the braking zone, really, for Stowe. But there's our race leader, Igor Uryev, 5.6 seconds clear, and again he's gone 1.5 seconds quicker than Martin Zhao in the first sector. Really impressive stuff from the man from St. Petersburg. You can see the SMP Racing logo on the side of the car. SMP, a prolific Russian motorsport team running in the Blancpain Endurance Series at times, as well as other championships around the world. And Uryev is looking very strong. Of course, we've had our first Russian Formula One driver. Will Uryev be another one to come along representing Russia? Daniel Kvyat racing for the Toro Rosso team in Formula One. And a very impressive start of the season he has had as well, and there's going to be the first Russian Grand Prix this season for Formula One at Sochi in the middle of October. We've also had the first international events going to Russia, to the Moscow Raceway. World Touring Cars have been there, Formula Renault 3.5 has been there, as has the old FIA GT1 World Championship. And Uryev is holding up the pride of his home nation very nicely here on a horrible day at Silverstone. Zhao still running in second place, Marvin Kachoff third, fourth for Andy Chang, fifth for that man there, Matt Rao, sixth for Cameron Kaminski, but he's 3.1 seconds back from Rao. That last lap, he was a couple of tenths slower, but the gap at the front has now gone out to 7.4 seconds, so Igor Uryev looking very comfortable. There's Matt Rao, 15th in the BARC Formula Renault Championship last year, but he had a podium finish at Snetterton. He was the British Formula 4 Duratec class champion in 2012 after making his Formula 4 debuts in 2011, running in a variety of championships around the country. There you can see the battle between Chang and Rao. There is 4.7 seconds between them. And Rao has been quicker on the last couple of laps, but that first lap that we weren't behind the safety car, he lost 4 seconds to Andy Chang, so that's where the difficulty has come. 10 minutes to go here at Silverstone in the 4th race of the 2014 Cooper Tires British Formula 3 Championship. It's Igor Uryev leading the way, but championship leader Martin Zhao is in second place. He had 3 second places at Rockingham, and he looks set to pick up another one here at Silverstone. You can hear the wheel spin just from the sound effects as the cars are trying to pull their way out of the village complex. But there's the gap that Uryev has. He's gone purple, personal best in the first and second sectors as he continues to very rapidly pull away from Martin Zhao in second place. Marvin Kachoff is now 5 seconds back from Zhao, which is a bit of a surprise, really. I expected Kachoff, the reigning German Formula 3 champion, to be a little more competitive here, perhaps. He's currently looking at a 3rd place finish, which will be more than good enough, I think, for his British Formula 3 debut, but nevertheless, I was expecting him to put Martin Zhao under a little more pressure. The rain does look like it's eased, so that's probably a reason for everyone going quicker and quicker out there on the circuit. Zhao was the quickest man in that final sector by some 0.4 of a second, but overall the gap, whoa, increased to 8.2 seconds up at the front, but Uryev is still having to battle with this car the whole way around. This is another moment where they, well, yeah, you can see the water is starting to clear. It's still absolutely sodden, but it's not as bad as it was in the earlier stages, but you can see that huge puddle of standing water in the middle of the hangar straight that's just waiting to send someone off into the barriers. Fortunately, it hasn't sent anyone off yet. With 8 minutes to go, there's Rao coming through, and there's Cameron Kaminski. So that gap looks like it's come down. came down by 0.8 of a second on that last lap, and it's now just 2.3 seconds between Matt Rao in 5th place and Cameron Kaminski in 6th position, so that could get exciting before the end of the race. And there's Li Shikong going around in 7th place at the moment. Here's a replay of Igor Uryev, our race leader, just catching that standing water on the exit of Chapel. Keeps it all together though. You can hear him coming off the throttle as he comes through Aintree, which in normal conditions I imagine will be pretty much flat out, but he's still going quicker and quicker. The best first and second sector times of anyone in the race so far. Oh, but where's he off to now? Heading towards the gravel trap. Can he keep it all together, Uryev? Yes, he can. And he kept his foot in there as well, didn't he? And so that was a bit of a scary moment. But he's still got a comfortable lead over Martin Chow, but that could have been a lot worse for Igor Uryev, as he just missed his braking point, it seems. Here's the replay. Doesn't seem to hit any particular standing water, just took too much speed into Brooklands and had to go straight on and took the escape path. So even when you've got an 8-second lead, you've still got to be careful in these conditions. Only cost him 1.3 seconds. You can see him swinging it right to the outside at Beckett's and Maggots. And there he goes again, the back end stepping. He's having fun, I think. Uryev, he could be going around taking it easy, but he's still trying to push. And the gap is 6.8 seconds between him and Chow. And there's Marvin Kachofa still running in that 3rd place. As I say, we expected a little more from him. What's happening between Rao and Kaminski? It's gone up again, the gap, to 3.4 seconds. As Andy Chang is the next man to splash through the puddle. This is a great place to watch the cars really working, isn't it? Matt Rao in 5th there. 6th place for Kaminski. As I say, he was 1.2 seconds slower on that last lap than Matt Rao. It just shows how on it you need to be the whole time and how easy it is to lose a couple of tenths, a couple of seconds here and there. And actually Marvin Kachofa has just done the fastest first sector of anyone, half a second quicker than the race leaders. With 5 minutes to go and a 6-second gap to 2nd place Martin Chow, I don't think there's going to be much he can do about it. But I tell you what, the sun might almost be coming out here at Silverstone. Certainly brighter. As our race leader Igor Uryev heads down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands, where he had the drama 1 lap ago. Much tidier this time around. Through Luffield, they're lapping in the 2-minute 20s. So I think he'll be coming around to start his penultimate lap of the race now. 2 to go for Igor Uryev in the 4th round of the 2014 Cooper Tyres British Formula 3 Championship. And the gap has come down on that last lap to 6.4 seconds. To Martin Chow in 2nd place. 3rd place for Kachofa. And, well, he lost time to Chow as well, despite that very impressive first sector. Martin Chow has been quickest in the final sector pretty much every lap of the race so far. So he's obviously doing something a little different into Brooklands and Luffield. But I would say this is comfortable for Uryev, but we've already seen him running into trouble a couple of times. So it's not over until you get to the end of the race here. As they once again splash through the standing water on the Hangar Straight. It's Marvin Kachofa's last lap like, yeah, so he was half a second slower than Martin Chow, so that battle isn't going to come into its own. There's Andy Chang, who for a while was right on the back of Marvin Kachofa. Another big moment for Matt Rao as he comes through the puddle. Then Kaminski, how does he deal with it? Whoa, a little bit more twitchy for Kaminski. And Li Shikong getting twitchy coming out of Chapel. 20-year-old Chinese driver running in 7th position at the moment. Did 3 British F3 races at Brands Hatch last year, Li Jikong. But he was mainly competing in, and there you can see the replay of Matt Rao. Li Jikong was mainly competing in the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia, where he had a best place finish of 9th in Kuala Lumpur. 2nd in GT Asia back in 2012 in a Porsche 911. Defeated to the title by Weng Sun Mok, who was racing in a Ferrari 458, and he won the championship by 10 points. And then before that, he was in Formula Pelota in China in 2011. He finished 6th, which the championship that year was won by Matteo Tuscia, now racing in GP3. He also won a race at Zhuhai in Asian Formula Renault Challenge back in 2011. But struggling a little bit here this afternoon, as across the line then comes Igor Uryev with 2 laps, onto his final lap, I believe. Yep, there we go. Confirmation up at the top. So he's just got 2 minutes and 20 seconds between him and his first British Formula 3 race victory. You can see much, much brighter now here at Silverstone. And hopefully, I think a dry race this afternoon might be ambitious, but a drier race perhaps, where we'll see a little more close-fought racing, because of course in these conditions, as soon as you get close to the car behind, as we saw a couple of times, you just lose any sort of visibility. As Uryev comes down into Stowe corner at the end of the hangar straight. There aren't many more treacherous places in the wet than this 3.66 mile Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone. The gap at the front up to 6.8 seconds. Schoffer took a second out of Chow in that first sector. So all of these drivers have sort of had the pace at various points. In fact, Uryev has the 3rd slowest best lap. Both, whoa, another big moment, this time for Cameron Kaminski coming down into Stowe. But both Chow and Schoffer have gone quicker than Uryev in the course of this race. But Uryev was so fast out of the blocks, so at home in the car instantly when the safety car came in, that no one has been able to get close to him. As we see Li Jikong, we saw Igor Uryev coming down the Wellington Straight and into Brooklands for the final time. Drama here, a couple of laps ago, but no such dramas this time around. And the 18-year-old from St. Petersburg took 3 wins in the Toyota Racing Series this year, but he's now going to take his first win in British Formula 3. Through Woodcote corner he comes, the checker flag is readied, and Igor Uryev wins the first race of the weekend here at Silverstone for Carlin Motorsports. The Russian taking victory, 8.697 seconds clear of Martin Chow, who holds on to the lead of the championship with his 4th second-place finish from 4 races. Marvin Schoffer finishes in 3rd place after failing to capitalise on his speed that he has had at various points. Andy Chang finishes in 4th spot. The 17-year-old Macanese driver, the youngest driver in the field, doing a good job. There's Matt Rao across the line in 5th place. It'll be 6th place for Cameron Kaminski. And it'll be 7th place for Li Jikong. Here comes the Chinese driver across the line. And it's 7th place for him in his 4th career British Formula 3 race after competing at Brands Hatch last year. But Igor Uryev is the man
acclimatise the drivers to these rather treacherous conditions, very difficult to
got into the swing of things so quickly at the start of the race. As I say, Chow and Schoffer both went quicker than him at various points in the race. Actually, I take that back, because he did the fastest lap of the race on the final lap, did Igor Uryev. So he obviously heard me saying how he hadn't had the fastest lap, and on the final lap he pulled it out of the bag. So Uryev, race win and the fastest lap after 11 laps around the Silverstone circuit. I think only 9 of them under race conditions. Possibly 8 actually, I think it was 3 laps behind with the safety car we had at the start. So here's a look at the results. Igor Uryev taking victory, 8.7 seconds clear of Martin Chow in second place, who still holds on to his lead in the championship. Marvin Koshofa will be looking for a little more, I think, in the second race, which is coming up this evening. Andy Chang finishing in fourth place. Matt Rao, Cameron Kaminsky and Li Shikong completing our 7 runners. So that was the first race of the weekend for the Cooper Tires British Formula 3 Championship. An entertaining race. And the second race will be coming up later on. We'll be going on the air at 35 minutes past 4. So 25 to 5 this evening will be the time to join us for the second race of the weekend. The first race started behind the safety car with Martin Chow on pole position, but as the safety car came in, as everyone tried to warm up their tyres, it was Igor Uryev who got the best getaway, really, and looked at home in his Carlin car almost instantly. Marvin Koshofa really struggling in the opening stages, was under a lot of pressure from Andy Chang, but Chang couldn't find a way past, whereas Uryev could find a way past. Here, down into the left-hander of Vale, looked to the inside, nothing Martin Chow could do, and he moved into the lead. There was some standing water on the hanger straight, which got everyone a little bit excited at times, but Igor Uryev, once he was in the lead, looked unchallenged from anyone else other than himself. After a little excursion on the way down into Brooklands, he kept it all together. He was told this is going to be the final lap, and he came across the line to take victory in his first British Formula 3 race. An impressive race from Igor Uryev. The second race comes up later on at 4:30 here from Silverstone, so make sure you join us for that. But it's Igor Uryev who wins the opening race of the weekend in the Cooper Tires British F3 Championship.